I think Marvel is cooked. As you might have saw at Comic-Con, they revealed Robert Downey Jr. to be Doctor Doom. And I think this is a very bad sign for Marvel. Because Robert Downey Jr. had his sunset moment, okay? He was Iron Man, and they killed him. Like, dude is dead. He is no longer with us in this universe. So the fact that he had to come back to Marvel, or Marvel thought they needed him to come back, is not good. Because that means they could not successfully bridge off of him dying into content that people wanted that didn't have him in it. And obviously, he's not the only actor people watch the MCU for, but if all the actors that used to play the big famous characters start coming back, that's a really bad sign. Because that means when these people physically don't exist anymore, they're screwed. And I think most of us are in agreement that when Endgame happened, that was the end of Marvel for a lot of us, okay? Maybe you watched a show or two afterwards, but I think most people checked out at Endgame because that was the end. Endgame was the end for most people, as it probably should have been. I also think this would have been a really good opportunity to, like, get a new actor into the role, because the problem with Marvel right now is they don't have like any star casting that people actually care about. Like, there's no single heroes that people care about. The reason Marvel was successful is because they built up all of these individual heroes and then put them together. They've done none of the world building, but they expect us to care. So I think having Robert Downey Jr. play Doctor Doom was a missed opportunity to get a new actor in place, because I think that would have been better for the long term of the MCU. But, you know, Disney only thinks in short bursts. And I mean, to add to the Marvel Cook discussion, look at this timeline of all the Marvel stuff you're supposed to watch to stay in the loop. Who has time to watch all of this? Literally no one. I didn't even know half of these things existed, okay? It is insane how much content Marvel pumped out and expected us to care, especially since all of it was bad. None of it was really that good. From what I've seen, Shang-Chi was like, okay. It wasn't great or bad. It was just okay. Spider-Man No Way Home was also pretty good. WandaVision was okay. I didn't hate it. I seriously wonder why in that universe they let her do that though for so long. That's crazy. Like, I just don't think that should have happened. Loki was also okay. I didn't end up finishing it because, like, it just didn't keep my interest that much. And I really haven't watched, like, anything else. At least it's recent. I watched everything leading up to Endgame. I do know, though, that Secret Invasion was a joke. No one spoke about that show positively. And I heard that it made every character look bad. And I tend to agree because that's what Marvel's been doing recently. Also, please hit that like button down below and subscribe if you're new. I'm trying to hit 400K. Thank you. They also revealed this movie so far in advance. Like, I'm sorry. I don't care. Why are you revealing a movie to me that's not coming out for 2 years? I really don't care. This should have been like a year in advance. The fact that they revealed it so early makes me feel like they're incredibly desperate for people to care about the MCU. And this makes me care less. I refuse to get hyped for something that's not going to come out in 2 years. And I'm sure this opinion is actually pretty split on Robert Downey Jr. playing Doctor Doom. I've seen split opinions on this. I have seen my take where it's like, yeah, they're cooked. And I've also seen, oh my God, they're so back. And this movie might be good, okay? I'm not saying this movie's gonna be bad de facto, but I do think that the MCU is cooked. If the only way they can get people to watch the movies or the shows is to get the old actors in, they're cooked. They're done. Robert Downey Jr. is 60 years old. He can't do this forever. And like maybe they'll make like a fake AI version of Robert Downey Jr., but at that point, that's also just cooked in a different way. That's like humanity's cooked at that point. I've also seen people say that his death in Endgame was like meaningless, and I wouldn't say it was meaningless entirely as him playing Doctor Doom. I'd say it's way less impactful though, because yeah, it's like, oh, alternate universe Tony Stark exists and he's just Doctor Doom. That's crazy. It doesn't completely invalidate his death, but it definitely makes it less impactful when there's like millions of dudes who could have done it. And I'm sure Robert Downey Jr. will have a fun time in the role. He already basically played a pseudo villain as Iron Man, at least for a while. You could describe him as an anti-hero, I guess. He's kind of a neutral good, if that makes any sense. And don't get me wrong here. I have never considered Marvel to be like peak cinema or something, okay? Marvel is genuinely like a theme park for adults. At this point, it is for adults. It used to be for kids, okay? But then all those kids grew up and now they're all like 20 to 30 years old. And I don't think younger people care about Marvel that much anymore. So yeah, I don't think Marvel's like peak cinema or film, but I do think this is a bad thing for Marvel, because it shows that they cannot branch out of what they already did before, which is never good for a like series that's supposed to keep going for a long time. Like, we've seen what they want to do with Marvel, and it's a lot of content. They tried it and it didn't work, so they just fall back on the actors and already made it popular to begin with, which is not a great sign for an IP like this, because Marvel's supposed to be like the hero, not the actors. And if Marvel just did stuff the right way the first time, they wouldn't have had to do this to begin with, because the problem they have right now is no one cares about the new heroes they've added to this series, because they haven't built any of them up to be likable or to have us care about them at all. Pretty much every new hero I saw in an MCU movie or show was extremely egotistical in their ability, with nothing to show for it. None of the characters had a humble beginning that made me care about them at all. They got abilities, knew how to use them immediately, and were insufferable because of it. And maybe they'll use this movie to actually do that, make some new heroes that we actually care about. Maybe they learned their lesson. But as of now, they haven't, so I don't expect them to now. And as I said earlier, this would have been a really good opportunity to make a new actor Dr. Doom. But they didn't do that. They picked Robert Downey Jr. again. And as I said earlier as well, I'm sure he'll do a good job. I don't doubt that at all. But it's just not a good sign for the rest of the MCU. But all of the content leading up to this decision has been a mistake. Like most of the TV shows and movies leading up to this decision have not been good TV shows or movies. And it's kind of frustrating because it's like, hey, Marvel, if you guys just did the work you did initially when you guys launched the Avengers and all that kind of stuff, you wouldn't have this problem where you need these actors to come back. Like, you already did the formula. Why are you not looking back and just going like, let's just do that again? Like, they already had the period where they built up separate heroes and then made you care about them. They already did that before. So why is it so hard to do again? I don't understand. Like, they have the playbook. The playbook is their own content. Just do what you did before. It's not that hard. And I don't think Marvel is like a brand is cooked. I just think the shows and movies are cooked because they're not doing any of the legwork to make us care about these movies or shows. Like, She-Hulk was not good. I know it's the one that most people go to and they're like, this is bad, but it genuinely was like bad. I saw people constantly talking about how bad it was on Twitter. So I was like, okay, I gotta watch a couple of episodes to see if it's actually, this bad. And it was. It really was that bad. She-Hulk was kind of insufferable, and the CGI was not great. I just didn't like it, and I think most people also didn't like it. And it's like, this is who we're supposed to care about? These are the new heroes we're supposed to care about? Really? And correct me if I'm wrong on this, because I don't know much about Marvel heroes besides what I see in movies and TV shows. Doesn't Dr. Doom not take off his mask, like, at all? So if that is the case, why even have Robert Downey Jr. play the role to begin with? You actually could have picked, like, anybody. Also, they could have revealed this in the movie, and it would have been way cooler. And I get why they wouldn't do that, because Robert Downey Jr. has the pull to make people care about the movie. But wouldn't it have been really cool if a few people went to see this movie, and they just saw Robert Downey Jr. and then it spread by word of mouth? Wouldn't that have been sick? I think that would have been way cooler. And I think the real way to save the MCU is stop making all these bad shows. Like, why is this timeline so big, man? This is way too big. This is almost as difficult to comprehend as the Fate series, okay? And that's not even in chronological order. Like, the absolute max amount of shows this should have in like a year is like 2. And that's it. I swear, there was a period of time where they were releasing like 4 a year or something stupid. It was just way too much content. And to stay in the loop on anything in the MCU, you had to watch all of it. If they just released shows every now and then and they were actually good, people would probably watch them. But they were putting out slop fest after slop fest. And seriously, why did they reveal this so far in advance? 2026 is too far to reveal this movie. And then Secret Wars, 2027. Really? I'm gonna be 26 and 27 years old. I don't care. It is too far in the future for me to care. This really should have been like a year in advance. Like, they should have been like, hey, 2025 May, that's when this is coming out, okay? That's what they should have done. If Secret Wars was 2 years from that would have been fine, okay? I think that's okay. I think a 2-year gap between a movie's fine. But you're revealing this movie 2 years before it comes out. That's too far, man. That's way too far in advance. Like, have you even started it? Did you guys just get the idea and you're like, okay, let's reveal it? Like, really? I just think Disney is desperate for the MCU to do well. And in their mind, they ran out of options and this was the best bet they could have. And I really just don't see it working out in the long term. I'm sure in the short term it's going to work out for them, absolutely. But I think once this run is done, they're going to go back to the same exact problem, which is no one cares. But what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments down below. Like and subscribe if you're new, and click the answer now to check out more of my content, and have a good one.